Good day and welcome to this webinar on virtual events for graduate recruitment. My name is Gavin Newman and I am a director here at iVent. Before we get going today, just a little bit of housekeeping. At the bottom of the webinar page, you'll see today there's a yellow icon. There's some useful downloads in there, so if you want to click on those and some takeaways for you based around iVent and this particular solution. If you're watching this on demand, and you may well be, it's going to be on demand for about 30 days, there will be a blue question box at the bottom where you can submit a question and it will email me and I will respond as soon as I can. If you're watching this live, welcome, and there should be a sort of a yellow ochre gold coloured box, which is where you can actually post live chat questions, and I'll take those after we've got cracking on there. So without further ado, let's just crack on. So what we're going to discuss today, I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction about who we are here at iVent, and some of you may well not be au fait with virtual events. We'll do a little bit of an overview about what a virtual event is, why organizations are using them for graduate recruitment. We've got some good insights in there, and also talk about engagement, data insights, and then pretty much everything else within the sphere of this solution in here. So iVent itself, we are going into year 10 of operating as a virtual event business, and we deliver events all over the world. And we do in all sorts of different sectors. You can see a selection of people we've worked with there, so some well-known names. And we deliver anything from a product launch to careers fairs. We're very big in higher education, delivering virtual open days to universities globally, as well as classic sort of exhibitions and trade shows, conferences. In fact, any sort of event really is possible. And we deal with blue chippers, this is in education, but also very proud to have delivered Help for Heroes' first virtual event last year as well, which is a wonderful one for us to be able to participate in. So excuse me if you know everything about virtual events, but for those that haven't, what is a virtual event? I always start to tell people, think about everything that happens in a physical event, and then pretty much all of that's translatable into virtual. There's a lot of similarities in both in terms of how we talk about virtual events, as well as the components that go into an event as well. And this is just sort of an overview, a graphic overview of the sorts of things that are going to happen. So on the left there, you've got users logging in, and they can jump into things like event halls with exhibition stands and booths, breakouts, live Q&A hubs, auditoriums where things like seminars can be delivered, networking, social media hubs, so you can actually talk and meet people in the virtual event, and resource and information hubs as well. This is a virtual event, is very different than just a webinar. A webinar is sort of a 15-20 minute moment in time. Virtual event has got a lot more that goes on in it. So what do they look like? I've got a few examples here of things we've created for other people. And so here's the landing page for the ACCA as a virtual platform for careers. And here's when we did a conference. You can see there's some sort of familiar visual cues of knowing that this is a conference center that you are in. Most of our clients want to have something that looks like a real event. It just gives that little bit of familiarity to people when they are logging in, and you can get something a little bit more relaxed here with sofas and bits and pieces within there. And see, it's a very nice, obviously infinitely customizable. We can really play to your brand, etc. in there also. So, that's sort of the first part of the process. We work with the clients to get this looking absolutely spot on for them. And within all these sorts of spaces, as you see in a virtual event, you can see that, you've got all of the regular components of an event. You can add and take those away. Being a digital environment, obviously, it's extremely customizable in what you can do. Many people ask us, what the experience is once you log in and have a look around. And, as I said, there's so many things which are similar to a physical event. So exhibition booths, here's a range of ones that we have created. So in a graduate recruitment event, for instance, you may well have, if you're doing an internal event, might be by departments, a different booths for different departments. Again, think about what happens at a physical event. What would you see if you walked in? That can just be recreated virtually. And then if you're doing like an external event, you can then have different employers with different sorts of booths and branding, etc. So here's a good example of what a virtual event booth looks like in the iEvent platform in there. This is when we did some of the recruitment for the Ministry of Defence with the Army stand in there. And you can see on the right-hand side there's an icon plate, which is all the functionality. So you've got live chat, you've got jobs and career opportunities, video playlists, contact if people are offline, meetings. We've got a great piece of proprietary kit in here, which is a full diary management feature, allowing you to actually set up different meetings with different groups of people within there. So rather than just be public and open to all, you can actually schedule these things in there. Clicks through to website, information, social media. You've got all the main social medias represented within there. So, lots and lots of functionality, again, very similar to a physical event in terms of the things you can do. And so you can jump out from using keyboard chat into doing proper face-to-face. Now, if you're doing something like graduate recruitment or careers fairs or recruitment itself, it's important that you can communicate and see the whites of people's eyes. So video chat is becoming increasingly popular within our platform, and just moving beyond the keyboard in there. So why are organizations using virtual events? And I can tell you, this is not an experiment. We've been working with some companies for 5, 6, and in some cases 7 years delivering their virtual events. So whilst you may well see people willing to commit budget to a test one, it's more flattering in a way when people are repeating year on year on year. As I said, we've got great clients who've worked with us for many, many years, and not just in graduate recruitment, but actually they then do a conference, they do a careers fair, and then they may well do something else. So multiple uses within there as well. So while you're using this slide, I always like it. Defines really the ultimate benefit of a virtual event. This is taken from inside our admin portal in here, and it shows a pin drop for every person that's logged in. So none of these people have had to travel, there's no time spent out of the office, and there's that immediacy that's possible with a virtual event. So all these people are logging in to participate in an event in there. So, as I say, that if I could only use one slide, that would be it. You can just talk around the benefits of that. There are two sorts of graduate recruitment event we've run. So you've got external and internal. So an example was we did ACCA, so everything to do with finance, an Association of Certified Chartered Accountants. So external event, what they wanted to do was they wanted to remain as competitive as possible because they do have competition. And they wanted to remain competitive by doing more and more online. So this was being able to provide graduates with the opportunity to meet a range of employers for placements in finance roles. But they also wanted the event to be on a whole week. You imagine the cost of that in the physical world. So obviously playing to the benefits of virtual and now helping to increase their membership by offering these sorts of value adds to graduate placements, etc. And they wanted to have these sort of deep forensic insights into the interactions that graduates had with employers, and obviously virtual can do that. And most importantly, absolutely zero costs for the graduate to attend there. Here's what we did internal for Royal Bank of Scotland. So what they want to do is to reach a nationwide talent pool of graduates. Again, making sure that there was no cost to the graduate to be able to attend these sorts of things. They were very keen on delivering very focused content to different groups of candidates. So that allowed that, because this is a 365 solution. And so they wanted to target them with different sets of information, different groups of people and for this to maintain itself online as a live resource, as a live entity, it was permanently being updated with new information. So it's absolutely up to the minute information for graduates as well. And then obviously the engagement with the department specialists, etc. Virtual event engagement. People often wonder, how this happens in a virtual environment, and there are multiple different ways of ensuring that you can engage with your audience. One of the obvious ones is sort of presentations, the ability to get on camera, maybe with a slide deck, and you've got Q&A, so you've got the two-way engagement with your audience. Things like social media in there, polls to keep the audience engaged the whole time. There's a quite terrifying statistic that for a webinar to be truly engagement, you need to try and get the audience to do something every 90 seconds. Seems quite excessive, but to try and get them tuned in, maybe that is a thing. And also downloads, the sort of useful takeaways for people to be able to have. And, the great thing about virtual event technology these days is you can deliver these things live, but you can also deliver them mock live or simu-live or as live, allowing you to create a presentation in advance and then to deliver it as if it's live, because obviously your audience will be ever refreshing. So you may well want to use the same webinar every month to different people. It's great. You can just repurpose that within it. And of course, on demand, we live in a generation now, sort of the Sky Plus generation, where people actually want to consume content in their own time. And they'll want to go in on an evening, perhaps click into here and have a look at all the wonderful things that have been sort of delivered within the solution in terms of whether it's presentations or see what's happened on the live chat, etc. Also within these sort of departmental exhibition style booths or the employers that are in here, is there's so many different engagement tools within there. So, live chat, offline communication tool. We've built our platform so that if people are coming in and they're asking questions, they're still able to get their question directly through to the employer. And so there's some clever little bits and pieces in there that can facilitate that. And as I mentioned earlier, the meetings and video interview rooms, to be able to conduct sort of first stage interviews can really help make the process of graduate recruitment so much more efficient. Whittle out the ones you don't want and arrange perhaps for a face-to-face with the people that you do. So the booths is a great way to communicate with your crowd as well. And there's also a real opportunity as well for networking hubs, etc. So graduates can meet other graduates. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Maybe meet ex-graduates, graduates that have already been through the company, and they can start to discuss their experiences with the newbies that are coming in. So live chat, discussions, FAQs, social media, all of those sorts of things in this collaborative space within there. And when it comes down to engagement, what's the evidence? It's not so much these days, but when we first started out, there was a real feeling that virtual events don't engage. But we've got some examples here of that I've pulled together. So I've had a look at the graduate recruitment fairs and things that we've done previously, and taken a bit of a mean. We've got sort of averaging 90 minutes per candidate. Obviously, there's some a lot more, some a lot less, but 90 minutes is quite a long time. If you think the average engagement in the webinar is about 15 minutes, this is significantly longer. And that's what you want. You want to try and hold people in there, make sure they've got as much information as they need out of the virtual event and session. The other one is the sorts of questions. We just had a look at one careers fair, graduate recruitment fair that we did. I think this is about a year and a half ago. You've got about 1,000 attendees in there, and just a significant amount of questions in there from them. And because the system is able to capture all of these live chat in a transcript format, it gives yourself and the employers you may well be exhibiting in your graduate recruitment event the opportunity to look after the event at all of these questions. It can help them to create pieces of content to be able to respond to those questions, those content gaps, etc. And of course, the all-important digital footprint that we hear about all the time. with an online solution such as this, every single interaction from the moment they register to when they come in, how many times they come in, how long they spend, what did they talk about, what did they download, where did they go, what about interactions, etc. So all of that provides some really good, deep forensic insights and can give you the evidence for ROI, which is important for the bean counters, but also to track your own success in terms of what you want to try and achieve through having a virtual event solution. So that's very much part of our role at the beginning with the client in onboarding, is to help them understand the data. That can be a bit of a minefield. What are we looking at and how can it help us make better decisions and create better content for the graduates that we want to have coming in. And then, the questions of what's required in there. So you want the people to turn up and you want the content. I mean, we'd be pleased to hear that when we work with clients, we take away all the technology headaches. All we say to you is, look, bring the people, pop the content into the back end. Everything else is done by us. So, your marketing needs to be spot on how to access these juicy graduates, etc. And of course, a bit of an obvious one on here as well. What else is required? Desktop, iPad, mobile, and of course an internet connection in there. And I'm pleased to say that pretty much all platforms these days are very mobile friendly. We see up to 65% of people coming into these events using their smartphone. What a lot of them do is they will have a look and they'll register on a smartphone. They probably access for live chat and things on a desktop, but it is very much during the on-demand phase when they're there. They've got 10 spare minutes. They might log in from their iPhone or whatever it is to go and see what's happened and, to ask questions, etc. within there as well. So next one on here, in conclusion on here, the just sort of recapping on what we've seen and heard today, they certainly enhance graduate recruitment. The idea that you can reach, places that physical events simply can't get to. You must have experience of recruiting graduates and trying to get them on a train to wherever you are to meet them. And, there's some great people. There's probably a lot of missed opportunities before virtual events existed where, you couldn't access the greatest graduates. With a virtual event solution, that is now possible. So it certainly does enhance that. And obviously then provides the scope of virtual events is significant because most of our clients will have a 365 solution, and virtual events, the two ingredients which make virtual events successful is an ever refreshing audience and a highly motivated audience. In graduate recruitment fairs, you have both of those. You have obviously the graduates refresh every year, so you've got a solution that people can just come rolling through 365 year on year, and they're obviously highly motivated. They are after a placement, so they are going to turn up. So we see some of the highest turn up rates from registered to attend of any sort of virtual event format in there. And you will know from reading the press, etc., that there's a growing expectation from not just graduates, but from all people in all walks of life for online occasions, whether it's a live chat, a Skype, or WebEx, or any of the Zoom, or any of those sorts of things. A virtual event solution is just sort of the bigger deal, as it were, for people to be able to communicate in here. Virtual events are easy to create. Hopefully, I've got across to you today, internet connection, leave the rest up first, bring the people. One shouldn't be daunted by this. For people who haven't done virtual events before, there's a lot to think about, but you've got a really good virtual event vendor. They hold your hand the whole way, and that's really important. You get a decent person to work with. And we know, it's not we believe, we know that they will almost certainly become standard for graduate recruitment. When you decide to do your first virtual graduate recruitment fair, and you see the benefit that happens. I mean, the first one we ever did was for ACCA back in 2013. They said that if they could get 250 people to turn up to that first event, they would say that was successful. So this is 6 years ago. They had over 1,300 people turn up. Job done, ROI approved, and they were absolutely delighted. And we've worked with them ever since then. So, that's quite a significant overachievement on the success criteria. So I hope that has been of some use to you. I've going to, my email address is in the live chat if you wanted to email me to have a individual discussion with me. If you want to post any questions, please do. If you're listening to this live, as I said, click on the gold one and I'll be there to take questions, or you can email me a question through the blue widget if this is on demand. So thank you for listening.